Okay, my beautiful friend, we are live. Hello, hello, good afternoon. We are Angela and Raquel here. We are here to celebrate a Mother's Day edition. For the mothers who are watching, we hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day because you all are worthy and deserving of having not only that special day, but a special life. So my name is Angela Gonzalez Sport. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a life coach, and I'm a women empowerment coach for women to teach them that they can reach their full potential. And this afternoon, I have my lovely friend here, Raquel Adkins. Raquel, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm so excited. You know I love you, Angela. And when I see that you were doing your whole little events, and I was eager to start and be one of the guests.
Thank you so much, Raquel. So this is again the Mother's Day edition, and who better to bring on to this actual recording other than Raquel herself? She is a beautiful mother. She has two boys and one girl. Her girl's actually 7 months old, and Raquel's still going strong in the entrepreneur journey. So she channels her passion into acquiring and managing apartment buildings and building homes with a team of investors alongside her husband, Kyle Atkinson. So Kyle has a robust background and an extensive background in and construction management. They're both originally from Brazil. Their journey of establishing success, real estate investment firm from scratch, which is hard to do, but they're both doing it. And they're inspiring. Raquel herself, she's inspiring women specifically through education and empowering them to become passive investors, to make smarter decisions when it comes to passive investing. So Raquel, again, just such an honor to have you, another fellow mother going through the entrepreneur journey while raising kids. So thank you for your time this afternoon. You want to
Yes.
get started?
And if you guys see kids in the background, if you hear kids in the background, that's part of it.
That's part of it. Absolutely. 100%. So we're
Yeah.
just going to drop some insight in regards to managing, that business, going through that entrepreneur journey while you're trying to be a mom as well as a wife. And Raquel and I, if anyone speaks from experience, it would be the two of us dropping the golden nuggets for y'all this afternoon. So without that being said, Raquel, let's go into the questions. Would you like to?
Yes. Yes. Excited.
Awesome. So how do you manage being both an entrepreneur and a mother?
I believe when I started, it was a little tricky. And I used to think that my kids and the household and everything was too much, and it was actually in the way of me pursuing my dreams and pursuing any kind of entrepreneur journey. But then very quickly on, I had two choices. Or I grab onto the idea that I could not do anything because of them, and it was time for me to concentrate on them because, it goes through phases, right? And right now they are small, so they need me 100%. So should I focus 100% on them and leave the business for later? But very quickly on, I changed my mindset to taking care of a business, it is as well taking care of your kids. And
Mm.
using them as an excuse to not do it is actually incorrect in my perspective. You should use them as fuel and as your why. If anyone ever asks me, what is your why? Why are you doing all of this? Why are you pursuing your biggest goals and your financial freedom? It is because of the stability and for them to have a future that I can leave behind. And my goal is even two generations down, hopefully, fingers crossed, that the fundamentals and the minimum I could leave behind for them. So I changed very quickly that perspective of they are in the way, and because of them I cannot do it. To because of them I'm gonna do it. So that's the first thing that I had to switch in my mind. And the second thing I like to say is embrace the chaos because
Mm.
I remember, and obviously the third thing is you need help, which is what we're going to talk after. But embrace the chaos for me means I remember having everything planned out. I'm like, all right, I can have a call at 1 o'clock, and then my mom will watch the boys and the baby for that amount of time. And with kids, is not possible.
No.
Because maybe someone falls and maybe someone misses mama so much. So
Mm.
embrace the chaos meaning sometimes I will be in a very important meeting with very top tier people, and all of a sudden a kid pop up and needs mama, or they need a toy to be fixed or something. So embrace that it's not going to be as perfect as you plan, and always be telling people that, hey, I'm sorry. People say that you don't need to apologize, but that's one thing that I always do. I'm like, hey, I wanted to be in this call today, but please excuse my kids in the background. And everyone seemed to be very respectful, because at least you already telling them that, hey, there are kids in the background, or my nanny is not here today. My my situation is crazy. So everyone seems to be very, or if they're not, then you rebook another time and you try to do it. But embrace that it's not going to be perfect. So, and
Mm,
be flexible with your schedule as well. You have to be flexible with schedule, because sometimes the meeting, I'm late all the time, not because of me, because of the kids. Sometimes they take longer naps. Sometimes they take longer to eat. So people that are around me and my business partners, unfortunately, has to understand that this is my reality, and that's how I'm getting things done. And but there, obviously, there's a lot of limitations on things that I can do, but for sure the number three things is embrace the chaos and change your mindset and do it for them, not because of them. You cannot do it. And third is you need help. You need some kind of help. Unfortunately, fortunately, I should say, my mom is live close to me, and how I can do business is coming to her house, and then the kids would stay with her, and then I come upstairs. This is her crochet room. She does crochet, so
mm.
that's how I get things done. But for sure, it's very chaotic, but
Yeah.
possible. Mhm.
100% possible. And I love everything that you said. And if y'all aren't taking notes, to the new mothers looking to eventually head on that entrepreneurial journey, or even if you're in a corporate setting, because that was me for 13 years of my life in the corporate setting, climbing the corporate ladder. And there are pros and cons to both of them, but everything that Raquel just shared is gold. And Raquel, that just aligns with me, especially in these this chapter of my life, pursuing the entrepreneurial journey. I had to do a mindset shift of being in the corporate job and thinking everything had to be perfection. Like kids couldn't be crying in the background, or on a
Yeah,
Zoom call, you couldn't hear your kids having a
yeah.
conversation. And for me, I will say that an entrepreneurial journey is my kids are me. Like that is my package that I carry. So having a
Exactly.
Zoom call like this, and having a kid walk in the background is no big deal. And I
Mm.
will say that it's become more acceptable
Yeah,
through COVID.
exactly. And yes, COVID made it all possible, and all the news, the funny clips of people on news interviews, and the kids popping in, and yeah, that helped us a lot. And you
Yeah,
have to understand, it's like a Zoom call can be from anywhere. You can be at
yeah,
your house, it can be from. And one thing that I really believe is, if you want to do business with me, is exactly what you say. This is me. Like I am a mom, but hey, in this call, I'm 100% with you. And even though I can stop and deal with my kids or that situation, I am here in this meeting, and I will get the things that we are discussing about done. So it's
yeah.
about you, and it comes with me.
100%. So I am a
Yeah,
package, you are a package. And I told my
exactly.
husband that, like, this, we're a package.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I will say as well that for me, as a mother, my why is my children as well. From
Mhm,
getting pregnant at 18 years old, my life changed dramatically. My daughter changed the trajectory of my life. So ever since then, having my one daughter to now my three kids, they are my biggest motivation. They are my why. So I
mhm,
resonate with you completely when you said that. There's no excuse. If you want to do it, you
mhm.
do it. Use your kids as the reason to be able to pursue greatness. So I love that, Raquel.
Yeah, and many times I used to think, oh my goodness, if I ever found out or got a chance to be in this investment world when I was just with no kids, just with my husband and I, how many things I would have been able to do, how many conferences I would be able to travel everywhere, and and then I very soon I stop and think, but maybe I wouldn't be as focused because I didn't have my kids. So it wasn't a strong why. It wasn't a strong focus on why. It's just because I wanted to be financially stable. Maybe that wouldn't be a stronger, a strong why to be focused. And sometimes you need that focus. And having kids it is for sure the biggest reason. And that's it's something I remember going to a conference. And sometimes you go to a conference, and the majority of the times you need to network. You're there spending top dollars for knowledge, but for networking. And
Mhm.
it was back to back. It was my third conference in a shorter period, and I was tired, and I wanted to spend time with my kids. And then I was there with my husband. I was like, I really don't feel like networking today. I really don't want to go there and introduce myself and say what I do. I'm always very bubbly, but that day I wasn't feeling. But
Yeah.
very quickly on, I stopped, and a thought came to my mind. I'm like, okay, just remember, your kids are home, and they're relying on me doing these things for their future. And
Mm,
I thought of them. I'm like, hey, because of them, I'm gonna do it because
mm,
I want to get there as soon as possible, so we can take trips, so they can have their future, or majority of their future granted because of me. So maybe a connection that I can do today is gonna open the doors for me to for the future. So very quickly on, I'm like, hey, you know what? Change that mindset. Let's go. And I actually met a person that I got my biggest deal from, you
yeah.
know. So it was a thought and an image. I'm like, my kids are waiting for me at home. I am
Mm,
here already away from them. Why am I not doing it? So that was a clear vision that my kids were my big and still is my biggest why.
yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, I resonate with all that you're saying. And
Yeah.
if nothing else, for a lot of mothers, I will say that when we're even going through our daily struggles, right? Because, like you said, embrace the chaos because nothing
Mhm.
is perfection, no matter
Mhm.
how much even our pictures, think of our
Yep.
family photos. We try to make them perfect. And then
Yes.
it gets to
It's not
the
gonna be.
point, just take the photo.
Yeah, yeah. There's
uh,
my pictures, my pregnancy pictures. There's one is looking like this, the other one is looking to the sky. I'm like, hey, at least I look good.
Just take it. And
Yeah,
that's part of becoming a super mom and a mompreneur is just embracing the struggles that come and just really being a problem solver for it all.
exactly.
And then give yourself grace because nothing's ever going to be perfect. And you have to go, with the process of how it's turning out along the way. So just dive into it. But on
Yep.
that note, I will say, how do you maintain your work-life balance as a mom and an entrepreneur? And then I'll share my intake on that.
I believe you have to plan as much as you can because before I used to just say planning was your everything, and I used to stick or try to stick to the schedule that I planned for that day. But it's
Mhm.
like now is plan and be flexible with your planning. Because if you don't plan, then you don't know what's going on and have everything in a very schedule. Kids and kids like schedule anyway, so that's good for them. So we have all of our days and hours in a day schedule. For this
Mhm.
time and this time, I am with you guys. This time and this time, mom is gonna be upstairs above my grandma's house doing this. So I always call business call, so they know. Or an appointment is when I have to go somewhere, so they know the two things. And business partners. So anyone I'm talking to is business partner, appointment, or call. They already know. So
Mhm.
they're trained to know. Okay, so when mom is upstairs, give her a break. And sometimes like today, it's a live call, so I don't want to have interruptions. So I would say, hey, do not come upstairs. As soon as I'm done, I'm coming downstairs. So have it planned and explain to your kids, especially if they're small, what you're
Mhm.
doing has been helping me a lot to stay less chaotic
Yeah.
and truly plan in advance, and make sure that you have help again, is planning and having help is how I can do this and how I can stay on track and how I can know that from this time of this time in the days or Monday and Tuesday I have for calls. This time and this times I can go and tour a property or this
Mhm.
time and this time I'm gonna be able to do it. You have to plan because if you wing it like I used to do it at the start, it's just extra chaos and then the calls and then something happens. So try to plan it as much as possible.
Yeah. And that has helped me as well tremendously because as being intentional about your day, but you can't
Mhm.
prevent anything, like you said,
Yeah.
the baby's crying for you, you have a 7-month old, or the baby is
Yeah.
is hungry or in a mood. You just have to
Mhm.
adjust in that process. And
Yeah.
going back to COVID, when I was in my corporate job and we had the the virtual setting, my kids were 3 and 7. And so
Oh,
I had to do the same like you. I had to train them and say, when mommy's on a phone call, you have to be quiet. When
yep,
mommy's on a
yeah.
Zoom call, just give me my time. And they understood it. And now they're 8 and 10. And now when I'm doing this kind of setting in my entrepreneurial journey, they're already trained. They're like,
Hmm.
oh, she's
Yep,
on a call. Let
exactly.
me give her a moment. So
Hmm.
kids adapt to it and they will truly respect, our boundaries that we set. It's just a matter of communicating to them what mommy's doing at that moment.
Yes, and we set examples too. They look up to me. I'm sure they do. They know that I can do all of these things, and even though it can be chaotic, Mama is there getting things done. And Daddy is over there getting things done too. So it's always because of guilt. We have to talk about guilt. I don't know if you have it in your questions, but I suffer a lot with guilt because every time I am on a conference or I have properties in another state and I have to travel to go see the properties, I am completely devastated because I feel like, or I should bring them, or I'm wasting my time away from them. You have to manage your guilt as much as possible because you being an entrepreneur, not only you are setting up an example for them to feel inspired. Like my uncle. My uncle for me is that entrepreneur module that I so admire. And if I didn't have that, maybe I didn't have the bug for it myself. So I want to be that plan, especially for my girl. To know that it's possible for me to have everything under control, not 100% of control, and not every day, but I have it under control. My business, I'm growing my business while I'm growing my family because of timing too. Because if you wait, I'm not gonna have my kids when I'm older. I'm already 40, so I lasted as much as I could to have kids, and it's time. So it's like you have to do it, and you are setting an example. So you manage your guilt as much as possible when you are away from them, because it's a way that you're taking care of them as well.
100%. And I will say that I can testify to that, Raquel. So nothing makes me happier. So my kids are older than yours and they are looking at you. So kids will mimic what they see, not what they
Yeah,
hear, right? We
exactly.
tell them, but then when we're showing them, that's a different thing. So I
Mhm.
will say that nothing in like makes my heart feel so much joy other than receiving, a Mother's Day letter. And in that, like yesterday, reading the Mother's Day letter, my 17-year-old daughter says, I admire your work ethic. And my
Oh,
10-year-old daughter says, I admire, your 10X and you're a wonderful mom. And my son
nice.
admire, the things that you do for us. So I'll tell you, when they get to that age, Raquel, you're going to hear it and it's going to
Yeah,
fill your heart with so much joy. And then you won't feel as guilty. So I realized
exactly.
including them in the business, giving them
Mhm.
like little tasks when your kids get older, then they're going to know why you're doing it and you won't feel that guilt. I will say now I'm taking them to summits with us and seminars
Nice.
because they're older than your kids. So
Yes, I
when you get,
cannot wait.
take them with, take them with
Yeah.
you, and
I
they're
took the
gonna.
older just when he was 5 to a capital raising event, and he was there just bored out of his mind.
Oh,
He's very social, and he liked when it was break time and talk to people. And it was only 1 hour, but I want him to grow up in that environment. Business
yes,
people, business meetings, and
mm,
for sure, yes, for sure, I cannot wait.
100. Yeah. And so the next question is, how do you prioritize your task from like, I know with us, we juggle many caps. I'm a
Mhm.
wife, I'm a mom, and then I'm also a businesswoman. And I will
Mhm.
say that if you're an entrepreneur, those merge together. So like I just
Yeah.
mentioned, my kids are seeing what I'm doing. They know what our business is and they're picking up on it so much so they're doing sales. They're selling products and they're selling just anyone and everyone. So that is picking up on them. But I will say for you, how do you balance, if anything, your time and your attention between your different roles between the three?
So, for example, right now we are in the process of looking for deals. Let's say if I am on the process of acquiring a multifamily or a deal per se, I will
Mhm.
have to contact brokers. I will have a list of things to do, right? And sometimes the priority is obviously something that has to get done tomorrow, or someone that you need to do you need to get it done to get to the next step. That would be a priority for sure. But how I organize is, for example, right now I'm in the process of acquiring a new deal. So then I would need to contact brokers. I would make a list of things that I need to do. Contact brokers, contact my team members, put my team members together, right? In this state, in this city that I am looking for a deal. So then what I do in my day is I organize, okay, so today I'm going to concentrate on contacting brokers. So I will call a bunch of brokers. And then what is the next thing? I already have brokers. So now how am I going to do it? Have partners and have meetings about the underwriting. So for us to see if the deals that we're receiving from the broker make sense. So then when that task is done, what the next task? So always kind of try to prioritize your steps and what you're working on right now, your project. Say that you work with service and in the beauty service, like my job in the past. What would I would do? So right now, my main focus is what do I need to take my business to the next step? Is more clients. So then you set up a task, and every day you spend in your little calendar, in your little organizer, you spend, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing content for my social media. The next minute, I'm going to be printing business cards. The next minute, I'm going to be handing out business cards. So you plan your steps in your business and what needs to get done. And then when your task is done, you follow the next. That has helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Never. Sometimes I jump all over the place, but that's basically how I get things done.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And you have to be very intentional about your planning, I will say.
Yes.
So for me, I would schedule anything and everything, and I would make everyone and everything a priority. And then I started looking back and saying, no, I need to one, schedule my husband, schedule my family,
Yes.
schedule my kids, and then schedule
Exactly.
business. And
Hmm.
with that, if it's not on my schedule, I don't make time for it. If it's not getting me
Exactly.
closer to my goals, I don't make time for it.
Yes.
So I schedule my priorities. I don't let other things schedule me, if that makes sense.
Yes, and
So,
another thing as well is I have so many great ideas, and at the start of this, when I was pregnant with my girl, I kind of had the two boys under control. They're older, so they could play. But I'm always one thing is I'm always managing. I used to say from 9 to 5, I am on business mode. It cannot be like that, especially if you have your kids with you. It cannot be like that. It has to be from 9 to 10 it's business, then 10 to 1 is kids, and then you break down like that. And as well as it's very important that you concentrate your time on things that is gonna take your business to the next level. Because if it's
mhm,
not, it's just it's impossible. I
mhm,
am a one thing that I learned from my past business, which was a beauty academy, is teaching. So I have this great idea, and that's what I used to do last year when I was pregnant, was set up some time to just connect with people that wants to start investing or that wants to find out or was in the same mastermind. I used to put on the mastermind group like, hey, if anyone wants to connect, that's good. That's networking, and it got me a lot of contacts. But I found myself a lot of days. I used to have 15 calls that went way over 1 hour because it becomes a very uh, conversation, and I
mhm,
was like, why am I doing this? Yes, it's serving my spirit for helping others, but it's not really getting me to the next level. And
mhm,
yes, in a perfect scenario without kids and all the time in the world, that would be amazing. But I don't have that time. What could I be doing in this time? If I have 15 calls, that's 15 hours in the
yeah,
week that I can be doing something towards getting a deal done or towards getting more investors, towards anything. So be very intentional with your time. Unfortunately, you have to prioritize getting yourself to the next step, to the next level of your financial goals, or of your goals, of your business goals. You have to have that. If you are in business and you are the business owner, you have to prioritize. It's not time yet to help people. I wanted to do all once, I help people. And if I learn something, I want to share with everyone what I learned. So I'm helping you. I'm bringing all of us together in my growth. It
yeah,
cannot be like this. That's
yeah,
the perfect scenario for another stage in my life. Right now, if I have 15 hours to spend on the computer, I cannot. And you have to think, if I it, like the reason why I stopped going to conferences. When I go to conferences nowadays, is more of the same people that I already know. So it's
mhm,
establishing, which is important still, because you're establishing a deeper connection with the people that you already know. So you barely not really, my target audience is not on a conference for multifamily because it's more like myself, operators. And right now I need the passive investors to get to more deals. So
Mm.
then, is it worth my time to leave my kids, to spend money, to go do this that is going to get me more of what I already have? So unfortunately, being a mom and being very short, being a mom equals short of time. You can't do that. You have to think about yourself first, your kids second, and I don't have time to be helping. So that's another thing too. Is like think about your tasks and say, is this going to take my career to the next level? Is this
Mhm.
going to help my kids in any way? Unfortunately, if it doesn't, it's not on your calendar. It's not on your days. Because if not, you're just going to be all over the place. And it's not what you're here for. You're here
Mm.
with your time being managed right.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you're not turning it up a notch for all of us moms and mompreneurs, you're actually doing homeschooling. So touch a
Yes.
little bit about that journey. That's something I've always wanted to do. I've considered it. I think I'm actually going to try to dive into that next year, and I'll be reaching out to you as
Yes.
support. But tell me a little
Mhm.
bit about that. How has that been going for you?
It's been a journey. I'm about to graduate my kid from kindergarten, and I felt very proud, because it was for sure a trial year. I am from Brazil. We don't have homeschool in Brazil, so to
Mhm.
convince my mom about it was already a huge thing. And I, it has a stigma of when you were a homeschool kid, you were a little weird or antisocial. But
Mhm.
since COVID, the whole homeschool has become a little more acceptable,
Mhm.
and especially here in Texas, we have so much support, and it's so known, and there's so many organizations that will help you, and groups online that can help you. And the decision was based on, first, I was hormonal and pregnant, about to have a kid, and I did not want to just hand in my kid to the school system. I have separation anxiety from my kids. I'm very protective of them, and I wanted to mold them to be successful, and I didn't think that the school system was my best choice. And I started to think that the school system was more like for us to dump our kids for 8 hours so we could go and be on the hamster wheel
Right.
working,
Mhm.
and for them to know that they have to be 8 hours doing something so they have the mentality to go work themselves. And it's not what I wanted for them. I wanted the freedom to be able to teach them the curriculum freedom, especially. I wanted to teach them about life things that I didn't learn in school. I was very bad at school. I hated school my whole entire life. I needed extra help, extra work, extra everything. And I didn't learn the things that I needed. I learned my life skills through living, and I
Mhm.
wanted them to be a little more prepared on finances, on cooking, cleaning, taking care of animals, nature, and being a boy. They're very active, very out there. Mechanics, we do a little bit of everything, and especially going to a school and knowing that they would be there and have to fend for themselves, and a couple things you didn't know how to do, like go to the bathroom by themselves, or find a school because
Mhm.
when I went to check the school for my community, it was 25 kids per one teacher, and I'm like, like they are not gonna have the assistant they might need. She's talking about a little kid. There's a little kid right here. He escaped from
Oh.
my mom. Be very quiet, okay, Matt? Sorry, guys. But
No,
that's the
it's
perfect call for him to interrupt, so not a big deal.
yeah,
I had
no,
worser calls with very important people, and he's like, "Hey, can I say hi?" I'm like, "I'm
he's gonna
you
be a
know,
superstar after this. It's all
yeah,
good.
yeah." But for sure, all of these things, the anxiety of dropping him and saying, "Hey, I raised you with all these great values that is
Mhm.
important to me, and now, hey, school system, please be nice to him." I
Mhm.
thought, oh no, but he moved my chair. Don't do that thing.
That's so
I
funny.
didn't know how the school system was going to teach them, what they were going to teach them, the bad influence from other kids, the bullying from other kids, all of these things. And I was hormonal, and then I thought, how am I going to have a brand new baby? Because the baby was born in September. So he would be 1 month in school, and then how the school dropout, all of these things led me to choose homeschool.
Mhm.
And at first, I was so worried because I'm like, the teachers go to school for many, many years and pay a lot of money to be teachers and education and all. I didn't do that, you know. So how are you going to compare the education that I'm going to be giving him to the education that teachers go to school to learn to do, you know? But it's not just the teachers; it's the whole entire all the things that the school system has that wasn't in alignment for what I want with them. And another thing that I did was to take it 1 year at a time. I don't know if they're gonna be forever homeschooled, but for the next year, which was this year that passed, was what I needed and was worked with our schedule. But I loved it, you know, because I didn't know what I was doing at first, but then I figured it out, and then I got another. Basically, we went to three different curriculums this year, and it's been just fantastic. And when I took him to one that is online and it had the teacher there and explaining everything, I saw his level. You know, I saw how much he knew, and I actually had to put him in one level up because the kinder, what he's supposed to be in his age, he already knew from the 6 months that we spent together with books and me and them. You know, I'm a very strict teacher, and I'm very like zero patient. He's like, come on. It would be days that he would be like, so how do you write an A? I'm like, come on, you know, like this is day one of homeschool. Did you learn anything? So you have to learn to switch. You're not a mom right now. You can put him in timeout because he forgot to write his name. You know, you're a teacher now. You're like, all right. So then you write A like this. You know, like you go back to day one. But I knew how much he learned in this year from that class, and I was like, oh, kudos to me. You know, like good job. You know, and we went camping this year, and he was doing homeschool. He missed basically maybe 5 days in the whole entire year because he was truly sick or because we couldn't attend to the class. In comparison to if you actually went to attend school, you know, I have a neighbor that keeps saying that he's sick all the time. Every week he gets sick and then he recovers. He misses 1 week and then you get a call from child services. So they're not like that, you know. So avoiding, protecting, separation anxiety, wanted them to have the freedom to be boys and all of that was what I did. And I think I'm doing a good job. I think we're gonna go for another year of homeschool. Maybe in high school that they need extra, or maybe I don't know, but take one step at a time. Try a different curriculum throughout the year. And remember, one thing that I switch my mind to, and you have to switch it when you decide, is it's not school or home. It shouldn't be called school, homeschool. Should call home education because you are in charge of what he's gonna learn. And I used to think why we go through at first when I signed up for the first course, it came all of the things that you had to do, a whole schedule, pages of the book, activities that you have to do. So we would check out everything on that day in like less than an hour. And I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. And I kept asking all of the groups. I'm like, hey, he goes to school 8 hours or 6 to 8 hours. And I'm over here doing all of the things that I got in an hour. I'm like, something I'm doing wrong, or I'm doing too quickly, or I'm like, oh my goodness, he's not going to learn as much. But the community helps you understand that it's not, they don't study for 8 hours. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of social time. There's a lot of play and recess time and things like that. So it's switching the mentality of it's not a school system set up at your house, or at least the one that I chose, you know, is you choosing. For me, the important things when they're small is learning to write, learning to read, and basics about math. And he is doing excellent, you know, but it was very chaotic because I gave birth throughout it. I had a brand new baby, nursing throughout it. So it was very, very hard. So I had to choose to take a break from business altogether for 4 months to truly just get everyone in a new schedule with a new baby, with the homeschool. And I wasn't as patient because I was hormonal and all, but we survived the first year and we absolutely loved it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that thought. It's a home education, and truly the foundation starts at the home. You want to instill the principles and the morals and the ethics and the, you know, if your religious beliefs, all of that in the solid foundation of your children at a young age. And that's why I'm really truly considering it, because there's so many things that I want my children to learn that I didn't get exposed to early on in my years, that we had to pay lots of money in education and networking and all of that. So I truly want to give that back to my kids. And the second part of that you said, and I just want to say, good job, Mama. And I'm so proud of you for you taking on something else on your plate, and it looks like you're giving yourself grace and you're actually achieving it, and that's part of you trying something, and you're trying to be, the teacher, and your son's already ahead. And it's amazing to know that you took that leap of faith. Even if you're taking it 1 year at a time, you're doing an amazing job. So I just want to
Oh,
tell
thank
you
you.
right there.
He might think otherwise because I'm a very strict teacher. I didn't know I was such a strict teacher. But yeah, we have that's I think this approach you have to take it in life, period. You can't look at the whole entire big picture. You have to take it one step at a day at a time, one day at a time, one task at a time. You can't just, oh my goodness, he's not gonna have school best friends. He does all of this was weighing on my mind. I'm like, you know what? Let's take 1 year. This year is gonna, and they're small, and the regulations here in Texas is I think up to the third grade, you don't get tested and all that. It doesn't get as serious.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, so I have some time to see what I can do, and even if I can, for his 4 years of life, implement a nice foundation, not
Um,
just on education, but on how to take care. Like, for example, we have a whole schedule. When they wake up, they have to do the bed, they have to wash their hair, they have to brush their teeth, they have to help me cook, they have to do the dishes. We don't learn that in school,
no.
and they know, and like get everything prepared, and then you go and you do some work, and then after that you go do exercise. Like they
Mhm.
see me working out so much, and they work out as well. Those things you don't, and especially the protection from all the bad that comes with school as well. The mean teachers, I don't know. And you see how crazy it is in society at the moment. All the things that I don't agree that maybe the teacher will think is fine, and teaching my kid and protect him from what I don't believe is very important as well. And it's
Mhm.
awesome to spend time with them. It's awesome to spend all day with them. It's like it can be chaotic. Sometimes I want to just run, just close the door and just run for the hills. But it's awesome to have them. And that, at least that's the kind of mom I want to be. I want to be a present mom. I want to be a role model. I want to be teaching them about life. But it,
Mhm.
it took a hit for sure. It took a hit on my business because I was on a steady climb, and I was scaling like crazy. I had a whole system going on. And then baby came, homeschool came. So I had to kind of, so you cannot do both all the time. You kind of have to choose sometimes again, choosing your priorities. My priority right now is my family. But
Right.
now, only now, I'm able to do two and be okay with it. But yeah, you
Yeah.
have to prioritize for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the midst of juggling all of our roles and wearing our mini caps and adding one more thing to our plate, I learned this the hard way because I was 18 years old actually when I had my first daughter. So I was a child raising a child,
Oh
and
yeah.
extremely thankful because again, that was all just my decision. And
Mhm.
got married shortly after that. But in the process, I did this all backwards. But I will say that now, fast forwarding today, 3 years late, many years later, with three kids, I figured out the system of how important it is to take care of yourself first to
Yes.
avoid burnout with all of the things you're taking on your plate. So, how do you take time for yourself to avoid your burnout? And then I'll share what I do.
I don't. I am burned out through it all. It's like being completely honest and just sharing my heart with you guys is I am completely overwhelmed, but I'm focused.
Mhm.
I'm focused because one thing with kids is, and again, it's knowing your situation and your stages. I am on a stage that my kids need me a lot.
Right.
And I know it's like that's how the mentality that I got through the very first nights after birth and all of this stages is if you're gonna spend the time complaining and thinking that you're so overwhelmed, you missed out.
Mhm.
And that's one thing the business always can pick back up, but the kids
Right.
that can't. And I want to be present in the moment. That's one thing that helps me put my personal things aside is being present in the moment. I'm only going to be with a small child
Yeah.
nursing for X amount of months. I'm only going to be with my kids at home needing me all the time for X amount of years. It's soon going to be, I don't care about you. I'm going to be on my iPad or my friends or
Mhm.
X or sports or whatever they choose to do on the free. You've been through this already. You have all the kids,
Mhm.
so they're not going to need me as much. And the time to be myself and do more of me will come. So I
Mhm.
try to stay locked within the moment. Right now, the moment is small kids, chaos, no time for myself, no time for my marriage. But obviously, that being said, you have to take some kind of time. And now, only now, after 6 months, because before I didn't have time because she nurses you know how it is, she nurses every
Yeah.
on demand, and now she's getting into a schedule that I can take some time off. And I think who hurts the most, my husband and I, when it comes to that, we are on the same page. We know that it's just a phase. I keep reminding him. I'm like, hey, remember this chaos, this fighting, this diapers everywhere, toys everywhere. It's just a matter of months and years. Soon we're gonna have other kinds of problems. So stay locked within the moment, so you don't miss out by complaining. I don't want to look at a picture and say, oh my goodness, I was so stressed out. I was so burned out, because then I'm not in that moment right there. I want to look there. I'm like, there was so many things I wanted to be doing, but I was locked there. I know by a fact. That's how I feel about it. But I believe what have saved my mental health is having at least an hour for myself and my husband at nighttime. And
Yes.
that comes with a consequence, that is sleeping less, because the kids go to bed and actually go to full on sleeping mode when it's around 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is bedtime for us too, if we wake up at 7 or 6 next day. So I would say, okay, or I can go to sleep, or I can just have 9 to 10 with my husband watching TV, doing nothing, or doing an email or something. What has saved me throughout this is stay locked within the moment, and just know that this, again, another thing will pass as well, but as well as having at least an hour for myself. And now that the baby is a little more in a schedule, I will be able to do more things like my nails again, my hair again, my little
Mhm.
things like that, which is important. But choose your priorities. And right now, this little time, I can always do my nails. I can always do my hair. I cannot always be with a nursing baby, so
Yeah.
I choose to stay with things that will pass.
Hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, that's
But it's
beautiful.
nails.
Yeah, two parts there. Two parts. One is your self care. The other is being present. So, what I've
Mhm.
learned in my mom journey, just my mom journey alone, is that you're right. Time will blink in an eye. Like you blink your eyes. My daughter's already 17 years old.
Look at that. You know how it is. Yeah.
Yes, and it will, you definitely want to show that heart of gratitude for every
Mhm.
single moment, whether they're in sports. So my son he is in baseball, and dedicating that 2 hours in the evening, I look like I can't take anything extra on my plate. But then I channeled it to my heart of gratitude. He's not going to get these moments back. I'm not going to get these moments back.
Yes.
So I made that
Yes.
sacrifice. And I said, even if I'm exhausted or if I have something business going on, I'm going to go and I'm going to show up for him. And we
Yes.
have, and it's been such a wonderful experience. Same thing with my daughters in dance, because that's your priority is your kids, and
Yes.
experiencing those moments you're never going to get back with
Get
them.
back. Yeah, exactly. And you look at pictures, you're like, it was a blur. This whole time was a blur. And there was
Yeah.
so many times in my life that I was in a situation, and at that time I thought it was a very bad situation. It had
Mhm.
some goods in it that
Mhm.
I overseen or didn't pay that much attention because I was concentrating on being a better. And I'm like looking back, and I'm now that I'm out, I'm like, it wasn't that bad. Like, why didn't I enjoy that good thing more? Because it wasn't that
Mhm.
bad. So I didn't want to have that guilt in my mind when it came to them, because it's
Mhm.
such a short time. It is hard, to wake up every hour or every half an hour with a screaming colicky baby or all of that, or your breasts are all tender and all of those things. But it's such a magical moment of
Yeah.
giving your own yourself to your baby, that is just
Mhm.
going to be for a short period of time in comparison to the scale of life. So that's how stay locked within the moment is my for sure say that I always saying to my husband that I have it written somewhere in my house. Because it passes, and you're like, what happened? I spent the whole time complaining. I wanted
Mhm.
so badly to do my nails, and look at me now, all the time to do my nails, and no time with the kid anymore. So
Mhm.
you have to find something to escape from being completely burned out, but as well as not time to be completely released of any kind of burnout because of my situation. So everyone has a different situation, but choose what goes away and what is not going away, or things that you can do later and see what is important, and if really decompressing is that important, or what can you do quickly, or in that one thing, choose wisely how you
Mm-hmm.
spend your time.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like we said, and we both agree, life happens in a blink of an eye. So 100% as a mother, be present as much as possible for your children and seek gratitude in every kind of moment. Change it from that negative mindset to the
Yes.
positive, seeking that positivity. And the second part of that self-care. So again, I was a child raising a child. I didn't know anything about care. But I will say that I was in my masculine state and I was operating because I was the primary financial, I guess you could say, person in my home at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
My past marriage, where I had a husband, but I was doing everything on my own. So I was
Wow.
operating from, the standpoint of I was overwhelmed. I was just very tense. I couldn't, like masculine state. If you know anything about masculine and feminine state, women are supposed to be operating in our feminine state where we can nurture and love and
Yes.
show that empathy and everything that the child needs in that moment. And it wasn't until I discovered, okay, I cannot physically pour from an empty cup. So I had to
Yeah.
reassess and get in tune with myself and my body and my needs. So when my cup is full, then I can pour into my
That's
husband, then
for
I can
sure.
pour into my business, and I can pour into my kids. And so I'd
Mm-hmm.
encourage you, friend, find some type of self-care, like you said, that 1 hour with your husband, but that
Yeah.
1 hour 30 minutes where you get your quiet time and you're pouring into yourself for that short
Yes.
moment to be able to pour into everything else, because
Yes.
we have to recharge our batteries to be
Mm-hmm.
able to sustain our full day of many roles and many activities. And, you know,
But one
just,
thing for sure, though, I came from a family that my mom was very strong. So
mhm,
us Latina has we always have that thing of our female roles being so strong. And one thing that I learned from my mom is we are capable of doing all these things in
mhm,
comparison to other people. They are not, and depends on your personality as well and the way you were raised, of course. But we women, I believe, I'm a strong believer that we women are capable of doing many things at once, and embrace the chaos and still get things done, and take care of the business, life, kids, household, and still get things done. That's
mhm,
one thing that we have in our favor by being strong women, is that we have that by being females, and I truly believe that it's a female thing, being able to juggle many things and still get things done to the best of our abilities when we don't have much of ourselves left to give, and that's
mhm.
one thing that I believe from the people around me, from the women around me, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
We're doing it. We're
Yeah.
doing it 100%. So tried and true, and we're here doing it as a mompreneur and being
Yeah.
successful at it. Just giving that encouragement to our viewers that it's 100% possible, because Raquel and I are doing it as well as many other women. It's just a matter of, again, figuring out what works for you, setting that structure, that foundation, and making a plan that you can implement, but being graceful along the process with
Yeah.
yourself, and
Yes.
that things are not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out all the time. And that is okay. So we just wanted to give y'all words of encouragement there. And then, Raquel, what would you say is the most rewarding thing about juggling motherhood as well as entrepreneurship?
To the example that you set for them, they not, for example, my boys, they will want a woman like this. They will not, or that's at least what I'm expecting them to do, is like have me. Yes, I hope, because you know how it goes. You can do all of this, and at the end, they just want to do whatever, be a YouTuber or whatever they want to do, and you're like, how about investment? I know that too, but at least in my mind, I know that I was a great example for him, of a woman, of a strong woman. I want them to think of their mom and see my house was clean. My mom, that there was no dirty, or there was no mess, and there was no chaos. There was no money missing. There was no, all of these things, that because my mom and my dad was there, because of my dad supporting my mom was there as well, fighting the fight with him and for us. So I want to be for sure an example, and that's my main goal with them is to have me as an example of a woman, especially for my girls, to know that she can juggle all of this and don't expect anything less, and for them to have a mother or a wife like that too, that can juggle
Mhm.
their kids and contribute to the financial of the house, or things like that. So for sure, lead an example is the most rewarding thing, and when they are aware of business and future, and they are clean, and they are it makes just being a mom, like all of the hard work that you do, and when you see it, when they show it, it's just amazing. It's just fuel
Mhm.
for us to keep going, keep doing what. But for sure, being an example is my number one
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah, and that again is so powerful, and I think that goes back to our comment about they will mimic what they see, not what
Yeah,
they hear us say. You should do this, you should do this, versus we're
mhm.
actually doing it, and they're like, my mother did this, my mother
Yeah.
did this. And like I told you, when your kids start writing you the Mother's Day notes, you're gonna just feel so fulfilling
Oh,
and
I
so
cannot
great,
wait.
because that is the biggest reward, is not
Mhm.
only setting that foundation and structure for my kids, but teaching them things that I didn't learn. And you're doing such a good job, Raquel, so give yourself grace
Thank
along the
you.
process.
Sometimes it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes you feel like I
So,
told, like getting the gifts yesterday. I'm like, I don't think I'm a good mom all the time. Sometimes I scream at you guys. Sometimes you go time out. Sometimes I just have a bad day, and sometimes you
yeah,
don't feel. Sometimes it can all feel very perfect by the things that we are saying here, but it's not. There is the bad days. There's days that I don't want to be a good mom or do these two things, but it's okay. It's giving yourself grace, as you said.
really,
You know.
100%
Yeah.
grace, because how you show up for yourself is how you're going to show up for your kids. And like we just said,
Exactly.
nothing is perfect. So it starts with grace given to
Yeah.
yourself. And
Yeah.
then nothing's perfect. So when you do have that outburst or that frustration, it's okay. But knowing how to approach that situation where you're
Yeah.
humble, say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Yes, apologizing, working so well with the kids. You think that they will not they squash it. Anytime I apologize for being rude or for being mean or taking their iPad, or they just you can see the relief on them, and I didn't know the power of apology to a little kid can
Yeah,
do from me. I'm like, I'm
that's
really sorry for screaming at you. Oh, it's okay, mom, and it's like completely just transform them, and it's awesome. So
so
yeah,
beautiful.
just
That's so
give yourself
beautiful.
grace.
That's one thing. Kids are very loving, they're very forgiving, and they're very
Yeah,
blunt. So be careful.
exactly. Exactly. For sure.
And Raquel, this has been an absolute pleasure and joy. You're making
Yeah,
me miss my
same
kids. I'm gonna
here.
have to go to get them. But with
Yeah.
that being said, what are you currently working on that you would like to announce to our guest here?
I would like to announce that I am actually working on a course dedicated for passive investors. So if you are thinking on getting into real estate investing, but you don't want in a passive way, not active, in a passive way, you love your job, you have your career, and you want to start investing in real estate, but you don't know how, you don't know how to vet the deal, how to vet the operators. I'm putting a very accessible and affordable course together and a mentorship together for people with all sorts of education. It can be from zero, or you're struggling. We will make a plan with your finances to be able to get into deals the smarter way, the safest way. So my Instagram is the one that I'm most active on. So it's RA for Raquel Adkins _investors. And there I will be posting when we will be launching that course. And it's dedicated for people that have their job or love what they're doing, and they don't necessarily want to deal with tenants, evictions, and finding deals, and it's just you want to put your money to work for you, becoming your own private lender, basically. Just you. When I say investor, real estate investor, it basically means I'm going to teach you how to become your own bank. It's basically us operators, us active investors need your capital to invest in our deals. We will do the whole entire thing, business plan. You know that,
Mhm.
but there are so many things that a passive investor should learn, and I see so many passive investors being at the end of the stick and getting all the heat, and I want to teach everyone to how to do that the correct way, how to analyze and avoid risks and all of that. So that's basically what I'm working on, and I would love to talk to people about it. And thank you so much, Angela, for the time, and it's always such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, my friend. And it has been a pleasure. And tell your kiddos if they can hear me, y'all did good today.
Yeah, at least he was quiet.
Y'all
Exploring
go
and
ahead
destroying my
and
mom's room, but hey.
it can be cleaned up afterwards.
Yeah, at least quiet. I take quiet. You can
That's
be back and forth here.
100%. So I will say connect with Raquel on Instagram. That is something that every investor, especially a passive investor, should be informed on, is how to properly invest, but how to properly understand the deal, as well as how to properly invest your hard-earned dollars into a multifamily syndication. So
Yeah.
definitely connect with Raquel. And again, it's just been such a pleasure catching up with you. And thank you for being on the call with me. And we hope y'all enjoyed what y'all saw tonight, and follow me. There's my website there. There's Raquel's QR code. Or what is that?
Yeah.
It's her, no, that's her Instagram.
Yeah,
Her
Instagram.
right there. And let's stay connected. Thank y'all again for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.